everybody, and welcome to How's That Working For You? My name is Bryan Robinson, and I'm the shrink.
And I'm Monica Parker, and I am Smarty Pants.
Boy, is she ever. Just wait until you see this entire episode. She is smart, but she can be a little sassy. That's why we call her Smarty Pants around here.
That is all true. Well, we are here because the mission of How's That Working For You is that for some people it's working really well, but for others, they seem to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And that means repeat, repeat, repeat without the rinse. So we're hoping that if that's working for you, you're going to figure it out.
And we like to bring people onto the show who find it working for them. And what our guest today is one of those. Monica's going to talk more about who that is.
So in fairness, I have to say that Nancey Silvers is a really good friend of mine. And so all my questions will be coming from pure love. Nancey, we're going to start with the fact that you're a product of a Beverly Hills childhood. Your mom was a Revlon girl. Your father was Phil Silvers. And if there's anybody out there who doesn't know Sergeant Bilko, you should look him up because
I remember him well. I loved watching his show as a kid growing up. He was incredible.
So he was a rapscallion. That's the word of the day.
We don't know what that is. What is a rapscallion?
I think I'm going to let Nancey answer that because she knows exactly what it is.
I would have to look it up, but one assumes that you're talking about someone that is out there, able to speak, has a voice.
No, I was looking for mischievous, possibly gambler, possibly somebody who,
all of those, yes.
All of those. And yet you grew up in Beverly Hills, and I am curious. And you had four sisters.
Right.
And one of them played Kathy on Happy Days.
Yeah. And my father did one of the episodes with her, playing her father.
So just to fill us in a little, what was it like being a child of Beverly Hills with a famous dad? And I think you had very famous neighbors, too.
Well, absolutely. But I and nobody else on the block knew it. We didn't know we were famous. If you went to my grammar school on the corner, if they had a cake bake sale, Monty Hall was the one who would bring you your cake. Shirley Jones would read out the number. I mean, everybody was famous. So we didn't know anybody was famous. We thought everybody was famous.
Wasn't your neighbor Gene Kelly?
No, he lived close by, but Milton Berle lived directly next door. So we were the stop on the go see the Stars homes. That bus would stop between my house and Milton Berle's house, between us, and for lunch. They'd get out and have lunch on the grass.
Once we'd gotten past your amazing childhood, you still are one of the most normal people I've ever known. There is nothing about that lifestyle that ever sort of falls from you. I believe we met on a blind date.
We did. Someone thought we would be good writing partners, and we met. And I said, I don't know how one writes with a person. And you said the same. And we said, let's just be best friends. But that's 30 years ago.
Yes. And that was that. We were instant friends. So
that's right.
What I really want to talk about is that you are and always have been this huge inspiration to me for being the queen of being able to juggle this huge home life of yours, which has only become, I don't know if this is a real word, huger. You have like more than enough grandchildren to fill that shoe.
Right.
Right. How many do you have now?
6.
Yeah, that's a lot. And they're always at your house.
Well, 3 live across the street. 3 live across the street and 3 are close by. So they're always here.
So you have this ability to have this enormous life, this enormous family, and yet you have an enormous writing career. I want to know how you do this. Do you have a secret weapon?
Yes, because everyone says there's no way to have it all. And the only way or at least in our business, to have it all is to have a husband who wants it all too. That means he's taking half of what is 100% yours and half his. So he gives me the time. He spells me so I can do my work, and I do the same for him. But when I'm working, there's a parent at home. There's a parent watching them. So that's the only way to have it all peacefully, is to have someone that wants it too, that's your partner.
So, Nancey, our audience has sent a question in. I want to ask you if you would answer this. It says, Nancey, I own a business and have a very busy family life. I barely have time to sit down, let alone take time for myself. How do you fill your metaphorical cup, and how important is self-care in your life?
Self-care is extremely important. It's probably the only way you can keep moving forward and not get overwhelmed or depressed or not have the energy for what you need the energy for. And I think the way to do it is to simplify your life down to what must be rather than what can be. Don't say yes to everything. Say yes to what you can make work, and then say no to the rest of
How
it.
do you fill your cup?
As since my work is as a writer, that's the biggest inside part of me that isn't a mother, grandmother, wife, writer. So as I write, I'm filling that need. So my work is not away from family and myself. My work is me. So when I'm working, I'm being my best self. I'm living my best life. I'm at my highest power when I'm writing. So that is feeding. My work is feeding me so that I can have more space to feed the rest of the people I have to deal with.
And you've written more than 50 Hallmark movies. Wow. And you've written for the networks, right? Yeah.
I've made more than 50 movies, not all of them for Hallmark. When
Uh-huh.
when I started out, all the networks made television movies. So I worked for CBS and NBC, ABC. And then when they sort of stopped, when there was reality television started, then I worked at Lifetime and Hallmark and the few places that still made television movies. So, but yeah, I've written for all of them.
In one of the books you wrote, I love the title, or I'm sorry, I guess this was a movie. I haven't seen it. I wore lipstick to my mastectomy.
Actually, it's a true story about a
Ah,
woman named Julian Lucas, who she was a young woman. I believe she was mid-20s when she got breast cancer, which is unheard of. But
wow.
her husband was a doctor. And so she went and got things checked out. And it was devastating. She had a double mastectomy and
Wow.
in her early 20s, and then wrote a book about it. So she gave me the book to turn into a movie.
And didn't you win awards for that?
I think so.
I think so. You did.
I
I know
bet you
you did.
did. I bet you did.
So I recently read a script of yours, which was set against a hospital background with a brilliant husband's descent into Alzheimer's. And somehow, as you do, you managed to not only make this poignant and touching, you also made it funny. And I am, as you know, a huge fan of your ability to take family and always somehow make it real inside your movies. And this, I don't know where this is being made, but I know it's going to be made because it's such a great story.
Yes, I think that all you have to do to be insightful and relevant is to tell the truth. So I put myself in the shoes of that wife and I play it out for real, how I would react and how my family would react or what I think everyone would react in. And I think in that way it rings true to people because I'm telling the truth. You can't make up characters. You have to tell the truth about characters if you want people to believe you.
But you were also extraordinarily blessed with a set of characters who are part of your family. And I'm not saying any names or anything, But, you have so much to draw on from just within the nucleus of your life. There's something for everyone there.
Well, we all write what we know. So, yes, my family, friends end up being characters, but they never recognize it. They
Oh, am
always,
I?
if I write my mother, she always calls me and says, I know people just like that. She has no idea that it's her. So, the stuff that I'm telling the truth about, most people don't recognize as themselves, which is great
Oh,
because
now we're
then
going to
nobody
have to
ever
do
gets
some
mad at you
detective
for
work.
writing about them.
I think you have an extraordinary life of balance, which I find very unusual, especially for somebody who lives in Los Angeles. This is probably an exaggeration, but sometimes I look at your life and think you're living in the 50s. Do you know what I mean by that?
I think I do know what you mean by that, in that I think in the 50s, everybody had their lane. Women stayed in their lane when cooking and cleaning and taking care of children, and that was their primary focus. And then maybe you worked after that as well. And the husband supported the family and came, was there on the weekends, but worked. So in that way, I feel like it's 50s family. The only thing that I've added into it is that I'm equal to my husband in work and he's equal to me in childcare. So we're both living 50s realities.
I think I meant it in sort of a sitcom manner, and I don't mean that it's always funny, but I just mean that it's you have a lovely existence of normality, which is really unusual. And I know I have seen this at your house at dinner time, where Bruce will put the music on and then two of you will dance for quite a while after dinner. And it always is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. You have a love story. You have an incredible husband. You have great kids. So you've both done something really right. And speaking of great kids, so way back when your youngest child, Charlie, was in the womb, I want you to tell that story because it's why I truly love you.
Well, and it's full circle as of like this week. And I'll tell you why. Charlie's 29. When we were pregnant with him, we got a diagnosis that there was a marker, which means an extra chromosome in every cell of his body. It fell off of a chromosome and makes its own life. So it's called a marker. But at least back then, they didn't know what it meant or what it was. If it fell off of one, it could just be blue eyes. But in the practice that I went to in OB practice, none of the mothers had kept a child with that diagnosis. So there was no one I could call and say, what does this mean? What could happen? So I did high density ultrasounds and I brought in a heart doctor, a brain doctor, and everyone looked at their part of this infant, this fetus, it was tiny, but, and said, well, we see all the parts that are supposed to be there. Everything looks great. We can't tell you brain, because it's not grown yet, but no one can tell you what's in the brain, just that it's there.
Didn't you ask your doctor what he would do?
Yes. And they send you to counseling, and all of the counselors said, we can't tell you what to do, but you have two healthy children at home. Do you want to add this into your family? And we had two separate thinking. My husband said, this is our son. What better family to handle whatever comes up? But he would never have thought about what to do, although it was my decision. And my decision was, I've done all I can to see that this child is healthy, and I'll go forward with that knowledge. With the understanding that something may be wrong. But had they looked and said, the brain's not there, there's four arms, there's something going on that might not be survivable or might trap a child in an unhealthy body, and then I would have absolutely no problem saying, let's terminate this body. I would say to this soul that I'm growing, God didn't give us the ability to kill a soul. He gave us the ability to drop a body, but not to kill a soul. So I would say to this soul, I don't want to trap you in this unhealthy body that I've grown. I'm going to grow you a new one, and I'll see you in a year. And that would have been very easy for me to do. It wouldn't have been complicated. I'm the mother. It's my responsibility to give a child the best life possible. Now, had they said Down syndrome, I would have been okay with that. Had they said the limbs are not perfectly okay, but I wouldn't trap a child in an unhealthy body that would lead to pain and sickness and death at some point well earlier than a normal lifespan. So, but what's full circle about it is that child turns 30 in a couple of months, and he just moved back home having finished his PhD. And so he's doctor of history, but he's a doctor. And his dissertation was on abortion. And it was very timely since he started this 5 years ago before laws changed. But as a history professor, because he teaches as well, he saw where abortion was going and saw that there might be challenges for people who thought abortion was set in stone forever. And his dissertation starts out with what the laws used to be, how it's a medical practice, and the religious right took it on as a religious practice. And some people feel that way, and I'm fine with them. But I think he saw that the Supreme Court was changing, and he decided to do his dissertation on this. But it opens with the history of abortion and how it all started back in the day, and that it was always medical, and that he was glad that his mother, who's me, had the option as an adult grown man to say, thank you for looking out for me and not trapping me in a body that would have given me this very difficult life. Thank you for taking a shot, because I turned out to be healthy and smart, actually smarter than the rest of our family, because he's a genius. My mother, who was a little bit outrageous, said that she understood what this gene was. It's the gene for genius. And I said, Mom, you don't know. She goes, no, I know. And so then when we had him and he turned out to be a genius, it was like, okay, so she knew.
What I know is what you said, which I actually loved, was you said, if there was any two people who could handle whatever came our way, it was us, you and your husband.
I did say that, but what I said was, if there was a family that could handle this, it was our family. Because I had two daughters who are heart children, and they would be open to caring for someone that they loved, and the rest. I mean, there's 14 nieces and nephews, maybe 18 on both sides, all loving, supportive people. So if there was a challenge that was handed to me, I felt like I was prepared, and my family was prepared for that challenge.
Nancey, I love that story. It's heartwarming.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And we have an inspirational quote that relates to that on faith.
Okay.
And so I'm going to read it. Faith is taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase. Martin Luther King said that. What do you think of that?
I think it's apropos in this, but it's, I think, apropos in everything. I mean,
Yeah.
we're walking into the market. You don't say, is there a shooter in there? You don't say, am I going to find what I need? You don't say, will I trip on my way in? You just say, I'm here at the market because that's the next thing to do, and I'll take the first step. And if I find that after the first or second step that I'm in a difficult place, I'll turn around. But for the most part, for most things, the first step leads to the second and the third and the rest.
And so that's a great message for all the people who are listening and watching right now. Do you want to say anything more about that for just the person who maybe hasn't been through exactly what you've been through, but who may be doubting their faith or belief in themselves.
We've been given this spirit, this life to see what are we going to do with it. And especially for women, they spend so much time worried about how they look or what they should be doing or what will make them look like a good mother, a bad mother, a smart, whatever. If 6 women go to a cocktail party, the ones who have important careers are usually very wary and jealous of the mothers who stay home and bake cookies. And the mothers that stay home and bake cookies are intimidated by the ones that have these important careers. So nobody's getting it all. But there is a way to have it all, which is to give every part of you everything that you have to do 100%. That doesn't mean you work harder. That doesn't mean you're up all night saying yes to everybody and everything. You do what matters. And if you take care of what matters, if you live in your kids' pockets, which is you can't get out of their pocket, and it takes 1,000 hours at home to be home for the 15 minutes that matter.
That's great.
A great takeaway.
You know, Nancey, for me, you have always been, you and everyone in your family, the grounded in this most beautiful way of living as the best quality that you can. And I thank you for being an inspiration to our family, because that's what you are.
Thank you. That's why you're my friend.
Well, thank you for being with us today. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to hear your story. It's very moving and inspiring for me, and I'm sure for everybody who's watching and listening.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's great.
And just to be clear, I miss you.
I miss you.
And
too.
I miss you too. I know you have.
I miss you now.
Oh boy! Yay!
Know you now. I know you, and I miss you.
Oh, that's
See?
great.
Thank you for so much for sharing and caring and all those lovely Care Bear words.
Bye-bye, Nancy.
Bye.
What a woman!
What a woman!
Woo!
Yep,
How you can have it all is
it's
what
a great
how you
message.
can have it all, and she was very clear about how
Yeah,
that can happen. And it's not work. It's
Nope.
It's your attitude and the way you
and
show up.
choices
Choices
and what you're willing to put in.
Exactly, and giving yourself permission.
Yeah,
I got moved by that
he
story.
got moved, and I just want to thank you all for being here and for sharing, listening to Nancey's story and to being here with us. And we hope you will watch us on our YouTube channel. And there's always going to be a takeaway from everything, every show that we do. And this one is live your best life. Just do it.
So come back and see us, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.